Hello and welcome to 52 Weeks. This week we're continuing in Chapter 5 Housing, and this week we'll be focusing on Part 4 Demographics. Initially this started as 6 categories, but I actually expanded it to 7 because of demographics. So we look at all 7 of them together. Part 1, the introduction. 2, the building typology. 3, building statistics. 4, demographics. 5, issues in housing. 6, observations. 7, building blocks of Harrisburg. So reason why I switched things around is that I added Part 4 demographics data review because the key in understanding the needs of residents, those who occupy housing in Harrisburg, is very foundation element of the Harrisburg Comprehensive Plan, and it is for the benefit of the people who live in the city. A key understanding is the history of the population. Based on the linear population growth model, the models used to project population growth in Harrisburg. Harrisburg is projected to approach 50,000 by the year 2020, and these numbers, don't forget, were set in 2015, 2016. So I've tried to pull in some new numbers, and we're really around 449,000 and change. The largest shares of population are present in the South Allison Hill, South Side neighborhoods in the census tracts 212 and 213. And due to the natural topography, these areas are essentially disconnected from the center of the city by Paxton Creek and Cameron Street corridor. You can see this from the River District and the Hill District very early on, and when we talked about this in 52 Weeks. Based on the population growth figures, the region will remain stable. PA has one of the lowest frequencies of home sales in the nation. The Northeast as a whole had the weakest buyer's market in the entire country. This is going back to 2016 and 2015. Folks who live in central PA tend to stay put based on the numbers. The source groups for population growth of the city are likely not to come from the current regional residents, with exception of regional residents defined as empty nesters. It's important to note a demographic goal that's in here. The city must attract immigrant and young adult populations as incoming groups. Harrisburg needs to focus on capturing as many of these potential residents as possible. These groups enter the city as renters. Continuing on that, city housing policy must ensure a wide variety of apartment options to offer new residents. After a period of rental, if they like the city, recent arrivals will be the most likely parties to be purchasing housing and other property in the city. This strategy linking growth for population and housing is a speculative project that requires the success of multiple factors. These include delivery of a wide range of affordable, quality rental space, development of strong, sustainable community cores, and the delivery of broad range of quality investment housing options. Continuing that idea, that goal, Harrisburg can increase population growth in excess of projections by offering high-quality housing options unique in the region. So when we look at high quality, I think one thing to think about is not just price. High quality doesn't always mean to be high price. And I would look at it as dignified living for all, high quality for any standard of living, and unique housing options for the entire region that we just can't find anywhere else. In trying to fulfill this demographic goal, the problem that we face is that we have a history of the same designers, the architects, engineers, design builders. We have the same financier class, developers, business, and real estate, all thinking in the same model of wealth and growth and applying the same methods of construction, building types for decades. So there's a cycle here that's been established, and it's very hard to break through that cycle and to be innovative. We need a place of innovation here in Harrisburg, and we need to be focusing beyond the single-family home ownership, as well as stick-frame housing and single homes. This is one of the things that's been holding Harrisburg back, and this is something that's carried over from the 80s and 90s that transferred into the new millennium. Continuing into the data review, the productive population age is considered from ages 10 to 49. At 56% of the population falling within that zone, Harrisburg has a significant proportion of the residents that fall within that category. There's also a significant amount of the population over the age of 10. And I looked this up as we look at 27.2% under 18 years of age, which is roughly 13,472 individuals. And that is an incredible number to be thinking about, is over a quarter of our population is under 18 years of age. So that's something to be thinking about in our design and how we work as we work together building the communities, looking at community investment. And switching over to the demographics, focusing on housing size, about half are family households, half are non-family households, 20% are nuclear families, 30% are absentee fathers or mothers households, and 50% are non-family households. A quote out of the comp plan of interest, 40% of occupied units consist of persons living alone. The next highest sector consists of 2 persons in each household at 27%, and then only 18% of the city has a large household. In looking at education, with a 27% Harrisburg population being under the age of 18 years of age, it makes sense that Harrisburg Comprehensive Plan would have some connections back to education. Again, thinking triple bottom line, and how do we develop people within our city. It must be noted that while comprehensive plans are focused on capital investment, it should be connected to a triple bottom line in the areas of people, place, and economics, and understand there's relationships there. Again, we build up the people, which is in education and workforce development and jobs and career development. Place is taking care of our natural and built environment, and then we let the economics kind of be the glue that knits things together. And it's just important to note, if two facilities within the city limits, William Penn campus and the Bishop McDevitt campus, goes without saying that as an educational goal that's implied in this comprehensive plan, an educational comprehensive plan should be drafted by concerned citizens, and it should be brought to the district for future planning that works together. When looking at income, we see that $51,000 is the average household income in both the U.S. and Pennsylvania. The median income in Harrisburg metropolitan statistical area, which is $54,000, and we look at Harrisburg itself, it's actually $34,216, which is 36.65% lower than the surrounding MSA. As we look at the 2010 census, 14 out of the 15 census tracts are significantly below that national average at $51,000 a year. We look at continuing income. The Riverside neighborhood surrounding Italian Lake statistically has the highest amount of household income at $51,177, while the Southside neighborhood statistically brings in far less at $16,364 per year. Importantly to note, a significant percentage of Harrisburg's public housing units are contained in Census Tract 214. Look at the demographics and continuing to racial composition. We have a quote out of the comp plan: the population is changing but not increasing. While the population has remained stable, the racial makeup of the city is changing. Since 2000, the Caucasian and African American races have decreased in population, while the Hispanic population has been significant increases to about 18% of the city's population. So we look at poverty in Harrisburg, 31,579 people, 66% of city residents considered to be low moderate income, the LMI number. This is important because in 2014, for the first time, all census tracts in Harrisburg recorded the majority LMI status. So poverty status means that the household income is lower than the average poverty threshold for a certain area. This is important to understand, and not only do we understand it, but how do we address it? How do we look at it and work together in a community? So to provide a point of reference, in the 2008 American Community Survey, it defines poverty as an annual income of $22,050 or less for a household of 4. And we see that the census tracts 212 and 213, comprising the center of Allison Hill, account for the highest share of poverty in the city. Contrast to that, the Census Tract 201, which is a central business district, is experiencing the least amount of poverty. And this can be attributed to several factors, one of being the low amount of residences, and also the center cities tend to be more affluent.